The Department of Justice has officially indicted former FBI Director James Comey, one of President Donald Trump's political foes, someone who's an adversary that Trump has been wanting to go after. And in fact, after the individual that the president had tapped to serve as the prosecutor from the Eastern District of Virginia said that there really wasn't any cause to charge former FBI Director James Comey, he was pushed out. That guy's name was Eric Schubert, and he has now been replaced with one of Trump's former personal attorneys, Lindsay Halligan. So things are going great. Now, what are the charges? What has Comey been indicted for? According to the Wall Street Journal, they're claiming that it's due to Comey making false statements and obstruction. People familiar with the matter said, and again, Trump demanded that the prosecution take place and ended up ousting that US attorney who hadn't found cause to charge Comey. My guess is that we, the American taxpayers, will shell out quite a bit of our resources in prosecuting Comey, and in the end, he will be free to go.
Yeah, all right, this is terrible. Why? Because I like James Comey? No, I don't really care about James Comey. I mean, ironically, the most impactful thing he ever did was restart the investigation on Hillary Clinton a week before the election in 2016. She lost by such a tiny amount that probably did cost her the election, probably did get Trump elected. So great job. So I got no dog in the Comey fight. And I don't, like, if you don't like James Comey, my answer to you is so what? I don't like Stephen Miller. Let's say that an ally of mine wins the White House. If they said, all right, look, we all agreed we don't like Stephen Miller. Okay, now let's go and investigate him and see if he did anything wrong so we could throw him in jail. I'd quit instantly. I'd be like, what? No,
I feel like Stephen Miller wasn't the best person to point to.
No, I get it.
You mean like you don't want a fishing expedition to
exactly.
Okay, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Let me finish the point. The reason I picked Stephen Miller is because, yeah, he's a guy that's might have done something wrong, right? Like if you said to me Stephen Miller did something outside the law, I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm shocked, right? So if you have something that somebody did that's clear and that's plain, like for example, Barack Obama drove me crazy by saying, oh yes, George Bush did warrantless wiretapping. Clearly illegal, clearly unconstitutional. Oh, he did torture, clearly illegal, clearly unconstitutional. But we don't look backwards, we look forwards. Well, you can't prosecute anybody on a crime if you don't look backwards. So those are clear crimes, but we chose not to do anything about it because they were the powerful. Then, so if there's someone that's, or evidence already exists, oh, this guy did something very wrong, okay, then that makes sense, right? But if you don't have that evidence, do not go on a fishing expedition, okay? Do not go, okay, let's look into Stephen Miller and let's see if we can find something so that we could, prosecute him. And then if you say, on top of that, not only are we gonna do that, but if you don't, after your fishing expedition, you didn't find anything, like Eric Schubert said, hey, listen, boss, I went to go look to see if they'd committed any crimes, but I couldn't find anything. You go, you're fired. I wanted that guy prosecuted no matter what. Well, I mean, you're just saying it. You're saying that you're corrupt and that this is a sham. And that you're gonna go after your political enemies and misuse our Justice Department. It's not Trump's Justice Department. It's all of ours. It's the American people's Justice Department. And if you just say it, you're like, okay, I want them prosecuted. Trump literally says this out loud. I want Comey, I want Letitia James, etc. I want them prosecuted. The president cannot say that. If they did something wrong, he could talk about that they did something wrong. And if he fires a prosecutor who said, I looked into it and I'm sure they didn't do anything wrong, and then he hires someone and they go, okay, yes, I got some trumped up charges and now we're gonna go after Comey, that's a destruction of our democracy. And hey, right wing, remember when the left wing and the Democrats said that they were worried about Trump because he might go out and destroy democracy? This is what they were talking about. But if you want to get up in a fervor and go, oh, we don't like them, let's burn the Constitution because we don't like them. Have at it, Hoss, but it's a terrible idea.
So I agree with you in regard to what the Trump administration is doing right now. I disagree with the fishing expedition. But I do also need to bring up the behavior of some of the Democrats, not all of them engaged in this, but certainly the Democratic establishment after Trump won in 2016 engaged in trumped up charges about, collusion during the 2016 election with Russia. And that investigation, for a second, and I get it. I get that most people who are watching this right now are not fans of Donald Trump's, but try to put your personal feelings about him aside for a second. Imagine you just won as president. You have not colluded with a foreign government to win the election. And for several years, you are the subject of an ongoing investigation claiming that you did one of the most treasonous things imaginable against our democracy, against our elections, against the American people. And it turned out he didn't collude with the Russians.
But Anna, so I hear you on that, and that's a perfectly fair thing to say. But let me give things on both sides here. So first, on that investigation, so they didn't have the evidence that he had colluded, although they did have suspicion because there were some Trump staffers who said, oh yeah, he's working with the Russians. Now it turns out that wasn't true, but they did say it, which then led to the investigation. That's not, to me, that's not the critical part. The critical part is Robert Mueller does the investigation, and then he says Trump didn't do it. Like the Russians did interfere in the election, but Trump did not collude with them. Now, if at that point, the Democrats said, we don't care, you're fired, we want a new prosecutor because we said we wanted Trump behind bars, and we don't really care if he did it or not, that would be a deep problem. That would be the biggest problem in the world. But they didn't do that. Once Robert Mueller came in and said, no, he didn't do the collusion, every Democrat accepted it.
Did they?
They did, Anna.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, like maybe they didn't in their heart or something, but they instantly dropped it and they said, okay, then we're not gonna pursue that anymore. We love finding folks who are good fits for us, right?
I love good fits.
When you're sleeping, you definitely need a good fit. So I don't get enough sleep during the weekdays, but because of Leesa mattress, at least on Saturdays, I'm getting some great sleep and I'm waking up in the morning thinking, got this, I got this. So I love that they have free shipping. I love that they have easy returns. That's super critical for me. 100-day trial. What else do you want?
You got to get that trial.
And they've given away 42,000 mattresses. We love companies trying to do good in the world. So they're good guys and they've got great mattresses.
They're philanthropists.
You can't lose with this. So that's why we picked them. We hope you do too.
Go to Leesa.com for 25% off, plus get an extra $50 off with promo code TYT exclusive to our viewers. That's LEESA.com, promo code TYT for 25% off, plus an extra $50 off. But be sure to enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. Leesa.com, promo code TYT.
So now on the other hand, if you want to talk about Democrats getting political, and we said this at the time, many times, you go back and look at the tape. Why did Merrick Garland wait 2.5 years to prosecute Donald Trump? So if Donald Trump did violations against democracy, which I think he did actually, then you should start the prosecution immediately.
Immediately, I agree.
Yeah, when you started 2.5 years later, it seems like you're timing it for the election.
100%, yeah.
So what Merrick Garland did was unconscionable. But if you're on the right, you don't match that. You rise above it. I'm not talking about politics. In politics, you get as low and dirty as you like, okay? But when we're talking about the law, the Constitution, and how you treat American citizens, well then that is not where you go low. That is where you go, no, they did something wrong, and I'm gonna show you that I'm better than them, and I love this country and I love this Constitution. We're not gonna do that. Instead, Trump's like, get them all. I don't care what they did. And if you won't prosecute them because there's no real evidence, I'm gonna fire you until I find some crony who's gonna do my political bidding and turn this into a third world country where we just put away political opponents for no reason.
Now, one of President Trump's other political foes is John Bolton, who I've got no love for either. And if you can recall, there was a raid on his residence earlier this year. Well, we've gotten a little more clarity on what they found in that raid. Apparently he was in possession of top secret and classified documents. So we'll see how that plays out. But it would be amazing if Bolton suffers consequences for that when the same thing happened with the president of the United States, but he won the election. So once you win the election, all that criminality just goes away.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.